House will be in order. The gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My colleagues know I'm the only Republican on the border. My colleagues know I'm the only member of Congress that has 820 miles along the border. My colleagues know that I've spent a good deal of my time up here working with them on things like stopping the separation of families along the border. My colleagues also know that some of y'all are not for open borders. It is an understatement to say that our nation's immigration docket is a matter of concern. The caseload has increased by nearly fivefold since the end of 2008. Now it stands roughly at 9,000 cases. The average wait for non-detained individuals is over 670 days, with many individuals waiting much longer for an immigration hearing. The net effect of this untenable backlog situation is to delay justice, in many cases for years, for those with valid claims. This is simply outrageous. The adjudication of immigration matters is essential to the proper administration of justice in our country. Congress must ensure the U.S. immigration laws are administered fairly, efficiently, and consistent with due process. This motion adds $75 million to our immigration court system. It will support additional immigration judge teams and the expansion of courtroom capacity. Now, some of my colleagues will say there are already judges in this bill. They meet the requests of actually this White House. But that is not enough. In 2016, ACLU came out and said that to get back with the backlog there, to address the backlog then, which was only 500,000, we needed 500 immigration judge teams. We need more. Many of y'all have already voted for more than this when y'all helped me jam Republican leadership last year, or try to jam Republican leadership last year on sorting out the immigration issue. Now, some of my colleagues will say taking money away from census to do that is not the right way to go. This underlying bill funds the census 40% above the president's request. That's more than $2.3 billion. This bill includes $8 billion with or without this amendment. And most importantly, this motion to recommit does not address or change the question that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle have addressed in this bill, and that's whether or not the citizenship question can be added on the 2020 census. This bill says it cannot. This motion to recommit does not change that. Let me repeat. This motion to recommit does not change that. We are taking money out of the Census Reserve Slush Fund. This is money that may or may not be used. We can hold on to this funding for unforeseen problems, or we can use this funding now to help solve a problem we see loud and clear. Our current shortage of immigration judges delays justice for individuals who have valid immigration claims, while preserving many years of continued illegal presence for others who do not. Worse still, the allure of our weakened system entices migrants to undertake the incredibly dangerous journey north with young children. I urge a yes vote on this motion to help reverse these regrettable and unsustainable trends caused by our broken immigration system. And Mr. Speaker, I yield back the balance of my time.
For what purpose does the gentleman from California seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I rise in opposition to the motion. The motion to recommit.
The gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in opposition to the motion. With the approach of the 2020 census, the U.S. Census Bureau needs a strong infusion of resources to ensure a thorough and accurate count. As a member of the Appropriations Committee, my colleague knows that the funding level provided from the Census Bureau in this bill is more in line with recent revised budget costs and estimates. This bill also supports critical funding of the Bureau as it embarks on the most technologically advanced census in its history, including $1 billion in infrastructure that includes IT funding to enhance the Bureau's cybersecurity efforts and protect respondents' personal data and information submitted to the Bureau. Every dollar can be tied to an original plan, a cost estimate, or a recommendation submitted by the department. There appears to be a growing attack on the census out of fear of demographically changing country and a concerning effort by the other side to skew results in their favor. We need every dollar in this census because the administration is fear-mongering, because they are trying to force an undercount with the inclusion of the citizenship question, and in reality, we are recommending a funding level consistent with what they indicated they need for a fair and accurate count. Any proposal to decrease this amount increases the risk of undercounts of minority and hard-to-count communities, including rural parts of this country that lack broadband services. Such an undercount would cause these areas to lose out on political representation and federal funding. Reduced funding for the census also increases the risk to cyber intrusion and the release of personal protected data. This bill already provides a strong increase for immigration judges, as the gentleman mentioned, consistent with the administration's request, an increase of over $110 million over the fiscal year FY19 level, which provides for 100 additional judge teams, which my colleague acknowledged in his remarks. I'm not aware of a census slush fund, but I am aware that these are vital resources that will help count our communities, help ensure that this is done fairly, and help ensure that hard-to-count communities are counted. The Justice Department is not able to hire any faster than that, as the gentleman acknowledged. I urge rejection of this motion, and I urge my colleagues to vote no. With that, I yield back.
Without objection, the previous question is ordered on the motion to recommit. The question is on the motion to recommit. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. No. The noes have it. The motion is not adopted.
Mr. Speaker,
The gentleman from Texas is
I
recognized.
request a recorded vote, please.
A recorded vote is requested. Those favoring a recorded vote will rise. A sufficient number having risen, a recorded vote is ordered. Members will record their votes by electronic device. Pursuant to Clause 9 of Rule 2 of Rule 20, this is a 5-minute vote on the motion to recommit. Will be followed by a 5-minute vote on the passage of the bill. This is a 5-minute vote.